Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Divergent Gaming Amateur Tournament here. Tonight, I have a new co-caster with me, the beautiful InVerum.
Well, thank you. What a fantastic intro.
uh,
How's it going, everybody?
we got a lot of reoccurring teams here tonight in the tournament. Nothing too crazy as usual. We have the Gale Force Esports. We have Noob Phalem returning once more. Team Nom, Rersurgence, the works. Also, Team Blake and Kings of the Blade. Or actually, I think they are Kings of the Blades.
King of Blades.
Is in this tournament as well, which I think actually both of them, at least one of them, recently showed at Heroes Rising. Kings of Blades, I believe, wasn't it?
King of Blades did play in Heroes Rising, but actually, no, this is King of Blades Omega.
Oh,
this is
so it's an
B team.
Okay, the B team. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
I know they were looking to put something together, and I haven't actually seen what the final roster is. So this is actually really exciting. I know they were trying out a bunch of really good players, so curious to see what they're going to do in their first tournament.
Yeah, no, that's going to be awesome. Very few teams actually currently even have B teams, so it's interesting to see them already expanding out, trying to increase their pool, which means probably they're being sister teams that most likely probably have some scrimming practices together. And so hopefully we see some good games coming out of them. They'll be facing Team Blank, who has been known in this weird middle ground between the pro and amateur amateur scene, at least. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out overall, but I'm excited.
That's going to be a crazy game.
That crazy round one is what it's going to
Yeah.
be. Best of one as well. Same format as the previous tournaments here, ladies and gentlemen. We will be going through the best of one until we get to the finals, which will then be, I believe, a best of three. Who's your predicted go-to here, InVerum?
Oh, man. Gale Force is consistently good in this tournament.
Yeah.
They've won it a few times now. I would say just looking at these teams, they're probably the expected team to win it. Though there are a few other really good teams here. Team Nom also had like some amazing showings.
Yeah.
In some of these last few tournaments. So obviously Blank. I don't know what this roster is. I know they had some roster shifts. So I'm curious to see what this roster is exactly.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So honestly, this could kind of go either way. Some of these teams as well, some of these teams we might not have, seen as much of, could potentially make some plays here. I don't know. This is sort of up in the air. I think Gale Force is probably the expected team to win this, but at this point, who knows? We could see an upset. Though Towers of Doom, what are your thoughts on that, actually?
Towers of Doom is actually a map that when I first played it, I absolutely hated, and I slowly am becoming kind of appreciative of the unique dynamic of the map overall. The one thing, the qualm kind of that I do still have with the map is that I feel like it forces you to win team fights that already come back from deficit, and XP is such a valuable resource on that map because team fighting is such a dominant thing that I feel like the map overall, like I said, I enjoy it and I am more appreciative of it than I was at first experience. But overall, I think we might see a little bit of it tonight, but I feel a lot of teams are afraid of about it, that there is no split pushing, that there is no backdooring. If you get that upper hand, you are constantly just sitting there. We have to win team fights. And honestly, if teams know that they're weak at team fighting, your opponents have bad team fights and just very good rotations, I would like to see the team just pick that up because it very much forces post 10 at least 4 to 5 team fights throughout the game in order to win it. So overall, I don't know. The map is still kind of iffy for me, but I do like it more. When I first read the concept of it, I thought it was going to be very lopsided in terms of one team would get a lead and then they proceed to win the game, and it kind of is that a little bit, but
yeah, I feel like it's one of those maps when it first came out that it was in such a way so different than anything we'd seen in the fact that you can always go kill the core. Every other map you can always just go kill it. And this is one of those maps where you're so bound and constrained by the map objective that it's one of those situations where teams just have to learn how to play it.
Yeah.
You might have a draft. Not all drafts are going to work on that map. You have to find something that will work. And I've been wanting to wait for one of these. I've been hoping one of these teams is going to pull it out and just pull out a crazy cheese and say we're going to try and get ourselves down to Towers of Doom and just play some sort of insane. It's a best of one, and especially in these amateur tournaments, anyone can win a best of one. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I haven't seen it yet. I'm kind of hoping to.
I think the most valuable cheese probably on that map right now, off the top of my head, would definitely be the Vikings. They make for some extremely difficult decision making. from individuals on that map, mainly because experience, like we said, is so valuable on Towers of Doom, but then also you see the situation to where not only are you worried about gaining XP and still trying to win the shrines at the same time, but then when multiple shrines become a threatening thing, the Vikings can easily cap that by themselves, much like kind of like Dragonshire, but with less siege potential in the early game because the map does not allow you to push past the initial fort row. So
I unfortunately have some bad news. Turns out they had sent me a draft link that I sent to you, but they actually sent me a second draft link.
Okay.
So we've missed most of the draft, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness, I'm tilted.
I know. I didn't see that he'd sent me a second link. So here it is. We're going into our last picks here. I apologize for that, folks. They'd sent us a link. We were sitting here waiting for the draft to start, and I should have noticed sooner that it was not the same draft. So
all right,
we got it here. All right, we can go over the draft really quick. The map is going to be Sky Temple. Your first thoughts looking at this? What are we looking at here?
We saw Tronda as a response ban already from Rersurgence, even with the nerfs to her. So we don't see really a change pattern coming out from last week during this cast. Zagara first pick with the Kael'thas ban I think is absolutely awesome. A beautiful response with Jaina Murden. Nothing crazy there. I really do like that response overall, especially on Sky Temple where early game team fighting is going to be awesome. Falstad with the mobility for the global. Malfurion, there he is. He's back. We got that small little buff and it's coming into play here. Also, Raynor being shown early in the draft as well. So ultimately, it feels like with this draft, the patch, other than Malfurion, I don't feel like there's any unique difference from last week to this week. Overall in the draft. If you were to sit here just looking at these picks right now, if you had to choose a team, which team do you actually feel won the draft here?
Oh, that's tough. I think my initial reaction would be to favor Rersurgence's draft. I just love the sheer amount of CC that they've got going for them. But I think it's really going to come down to the Sonya play from Team Nom.
I agree.
What they can do with that. I think their draft is maybe slightly, I think Johanna pulls it together, but slightly counterintuitive if you've got Sonya who's designed to go in. And you've also got that strong backline of Raynor and Zagar as well, who can kite as well as push. So that's sort of interesting. I like this raw amount of damage coming out from both these teams, actually. Both of these are going to be, I think, hyper-aggressive drafts. I'm really curious to see how the rotations are going to play for them. Thrall and Zagar in the bot lane is going to be interesting. Thrall actually can beat her 1v1 if you play it right, or at least go as even as anyone can. So that's going to be really interesting to see as well. I think this is going to rest on the back of the Sonya here.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think I agree with you actually on Rersurgence. I feel like overall they actually have the stronger draft here. The Murden, Jaina, Thrall, and Malfurion are all very dominant in the roles. I do like Falstad as well, and he is obviously a great pick, but I think we've seen in this tournament a lot of Gusts that become almost, I don't want to say questionable, but maybe not maximum value in this type of situation, or in most of the situations that it's used. So one thing to keep in mind, Team Nom with Zagara, Raynor, and Sonya eat front lines. They absolutely can destroy a front line very, very quickly. And I'm kind of afraid to see that if Rersurgence doesn't play their team fights properly, where they overcommit and then they do not end up getting an early kill in type of situations, I'm afraid that they are going to actually hinder themselves, lose their front line, and end up losing it. And I think, like you said, that comes down to the Sonya play.
I also want a really interesting note here to look at these teams going into this game. I did not know who Rersurgence was. Now I know who Rersurgence is. Recognize a few of those players there.
Yeah.
So I was unaware of the roster of Team Rersurgence, but I think, is this the split of Blank, if I have that correctly?
I actually don't know what Blank's roster was beforehand, so I can't tell you for sure. I do recognize a couple of names. I have played with Killick and with Shot in the back in the day. Shot actually competed for what was the tournament? He was played on Cognitive actually.
Yeah.
So I played against Shot quite a bit. Daihu used to actually play with Dead Something Gaming. He played then. I don't know what team he's been on since that point. But I do recognize a couple of names there. That makes me a little bit more confident in this game as well. At first, I was a little fearful in that draft and how well it would be played, but now I'm very, very, very excited. But here we are. We're going into game number 1 with Team Nom versus Rersurgence. Right out the gates, I already noticed that blue team... Oh man, my FPS is dropping. Hold on one second. All right, we're good. All right, in the blue trunks here we have Panda Red Panda Love. I love that name every time I read it on Raynor. We have Wrath on Zagara, Dayun, I believe, Dayan on the Uther, yeah. And then Kachi sitting on the Sonya, as well as Zugrug on the Johanna.
And coming on the other side of the map, we've got Killick on Falstad, Shot on Jaina, Daihu on Murd, and Rixie on Malfurion, and Skullkid on Thrall.
Yeah, and then we see a quick flight up to the site here. It looks like they're going to try and take advantage of the fact that they have an extremely aggressive level 1. The cheese coming out already in the mid lane. We do see that they're going for the early game turns, trying to get the XP. Actually, what comes in this type of situation, Team Nam actually gains the advantage for pushing on mid lane because it is the maximum amount of value for the first shrine spawns, actually. And it also gives them a rotational advantage when it comes to soaking the bottom lane as well. So they come out with a small lead here by pushing the front wall first, but it's not going to be anything too major.
Yep. Only interesting thing I know here is that Scar is actually not down in the bottom lane. We actually have Sonya versus Thrall. Interesting choice of how to lane that. But over,
yeah.
Is there a reason for that? Can you?
I actually think that's because they know that Sonya does decent in a lane as well against Thrall, and Thrall is one of the few people that can actually compete with Zagara. So if they both go even in this bottom lane, why not have Zagara be Cancer in a different lane? Put her in a lane matchup that they don't expect. I do think it's strange that we do see Zagara in the mid lane rather than top. Top would be the one that I would be threatening at this point as a team, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Aggressive fly down here on bottom, and it's going to be Kachi.
He's going to spin to win here, but I don't think he's going to be getting out of that. The root to follow up. Good turns. Raynor coming in the back line, but no. He's just going to drop.
Yeah,
great rotations coming down here for Rersurgence.
No, it was a great flight. Really aggressive in establishing dominance. Sight is going to be in favor here of Team Nam on the left-hand side, which is going to allow them to get these early shots on mid, which is the front wall that they took out as well. Keep that in mind, so this is more value for them, but we do see an XP lead in favor of Rersurgence. I find it strange that they were willing to trade that out so easily, but they, especially with the rotations that they have coming out from Rersurgence, but overall, I guess they're just willing to trade shrines as fast as possible, giving Rersurgence the aggressive early game, giving them up the mid shrine, which, like I said, does give them a small XP advantage, but not that much.
Yeah, I mean, Sonya was dead, but I feel like they probably could have worked to contest that. Maybe they're not quite aware of the value that they would have gotten out of that mid tower or the mid shrine, but it is interesting to note that they are fully committing now to this top shrine. So, you know, that interesting to see how they're going to play this. We still have Thrall and Zagara down in the bot lane, fighting it out.
I think the rotations coming out from Rersurgence here are really setting them apart, obviously, in XP, but it seems strange that they gave up the top shrine so easily to Rersurgence. There you go. They slowly take it back for the final shots. But that was really interesting how passively we just saw Team Nam just legitimately, like, they're like, oh, Rersurgence is rotating? Okay, you can have the shrine for free. They didn't even slightly contest. They do have a stronger early game comp overall, but I don't feel like it's strong enough that they should have just given up those shots for free right at the end there. We do see a minor XP lead going in favor of Rersurgence. They're going to be picking up the Giants, doing the casual take Giants, take Knights rotation in order to get the Knights pushing on top during the second shrine. Keep in mind, they're capping these a little bit early. Both teams are actually committing to them very early here, which means they're going to be trying to see who can clear out Giants first on bottom.
I would expect them to wait on the Knight cap. I think
yes.
I would expect them to wait on that. They might do just clear it and then not bother to cap it right now.
I'm going to be totally honest. There's actually an alternative strategy that we might be coming out from Rersurgence here. So you see on bottom, Team Nam is actually looking to respond to the Giants to clear them out faster, so there's win because they know they have time. What I think you're going to see out of Rersurgence here is they're going to cap this very fast. They might wait, but if they don't wait, what they're going to do is push on mid and then 5-man push bottom. They're going to take out that front wall with a 5-man rotation before it's even they're worried about top lane. They know they're going to be taking Knights right now. So what are they going to do? They're going to overcommit to bottom too soon because they're on the opposite side of the map. That's a rare strategy that you do see, but with how early of a cap that is, I don't really see why they would cap it that early if they weren't going to do that. They do end up committing to top here instead.
That's an interesting choice. Looks like they're just going to want to support these this bruiser camp coming in here. Want to take down this top fort, I guess, just sort of assert their early dominance in this game right now. And while Nam is taking Knights in the back of this, they're really not doing much of contesting this, especially now that Killick's flying and Raynor's going to get caught by root, though, and he's instantly going to go down.
Yeah, no,
this coming out there.
Yeah, really good root moving into that chokehold. It looks like they're going to get this fort for free now with that kill. So it ends up the early cap and the hyper pushing right there actually with one pick was all it took, and they ended up getting a fort for free here. It's going to be just as much value as the rotation in the bottom that I was suggesting earlier, so it's not the end of the world, really. It's just Getting the small lead, winning the race to 10. If they wait long enough on this shrine, they're actually going to have 10 advantage to where their opponents can't contest at all. So rotations do look like they're going to bottom. I mean, that was honestly as good as pushing bottom, so I'm really glad to see that they at least capitalized on that early cap of Knights. They didn't just cap them and lead them for no reason. That's a mistake I definitely would have frowned upon. Falstad with the late flight here.
I think it's totally fine. He's just getting a few more creeps up in the top lane there. And the race to 10 is absolutely on right now, and I feel like if Rersurgence can get that, they're going to steamroll really hard in this game.
Yeah, no, they definitely are going to punish their opponents heavily. Keep in mind, Malfurion actually taking Loon's Grace and Cleanse, so he doesn't actually have rampant growth here. Daihu overextending a little bit, getting pulled in, but is going to survive with a great peel from his team. Shots are halfway through. The fort is going to end up barely surviving this type of no, it's actually going to go down because of the damage the Giants did earlier, so... really good decision making here from Team Nam. Rersurgence overcommitting to bottoms to try and contest, but winning the race at 10. But they actually didn't hit 10 in time to actually contest the shrine. So that was really smart on their part to know that they could stay down there and take that team fight in that amount of time, while Rersurgence fails to soak on any of the lanes to get the 10 advantage. So.
Yeah, and I like the choice to instantly send Raynor back to get that top lane. That will get them level 10 as well as the soak in mid. So. All in all, relatively even exchange considering how great of a push Rersurgence is in that top lane. Getting caught up in the bot lane with that great mock catching 3. And the follow-up was not where it needed to be. Shot still going to go down. The Tranquility not enough to keep him alive. Skulky coming in the back line. Good Sunder. Talking out. Cigar.
Is out of position now?
Yep. Kachi's going to try as much as he can here, but I think he's going to... No, actually he's going to survive. Skulky taking lots of damage, but barely going to be able to escape here. Hyperion not going to be able to take anyone down. That was a fight that could have gone so close in either direction there. That broke chasing, but... Oof.
Oh my gosh, that was such a beautiful engage attempt from Killick. He actually gusted him into the very corner, which then led them to all group up and actually pin. One thing to keep in mind when you have like people like an Entomb or a Mighty Gus and chokeholds like that, if you all group up and getting that big 3-man Maw in that type of situation, we end up seeing him being able to, with D-Shield and Maw, turning that fight around. Thrall trying to come back from behind it, end up like recovering the team fight, but ultimately ended up setting his team behind because he was so far out of position and they were already down a man. That was a really great engage attempt, but also counter engage coming out from Team Nam.
Yeah, I feel like if they'd just been a little cleaner with their follow-up on that Maw, they could have really capitalized on that fight. And it was just a few skills slightly missed time, but all in all, a really good response coming out from them.
Yeah, no, definitely, and we're going to be waiting on the next shrines to be spawning here. There is no XP advantage in favor of either team. Merc camps are not going to be spawning. We have 13 seconds on the night camp. Bottom shrine now gains more value than top shrine. The reason for that being is because of the risk of the potential boss. I guess mid shrine. Falstad staying top to maximize XP value, and no mercs are going to be taken during this time, so not too much to worry about. I think you will see teams worry over bot, but actually they're going to ignore it and go for mid. Sight is in favor of Rersurgence, which is really important when capping this middle shrine. If you have the sight, you have a lot more control over your opponents because of the flank, which we might see from Falstad right now after capping.
Yeah, nope. So watch for the gust here. I feel like that's going to be the descent effect in these fights. But Jane is going to the backline shot.
Absolutely.
And here we go. The mighty Bless Shield coming down here. The Thunder not doing a ton. Blizzard going down. And the Trank is coming out. Kachi in the backline. Now he's getting the shield, wreaking havoc with theirs.
Beautiful.
With the gust. Forcing the rest of the team back. Kachi is going to get stunned out. The Mock catching one. Good job getting that on Malfurion. But so far, no one's falling in this fight. And no, if the roots had connected there, I think that would have been 1 or 2 kills. But
yeah,
what a back and forth battle there.
That actually all came down to, number one, that was a beautiful gust, abusing the fact that Divine Shield was going to make Sonya immune to the gust, waiting for D-Shield to come out and then gusting the remainder of the team away to be able to try and get a kill on her, waiting halfway through the D-Shield so that it goes down in a kill in time where they have kill potential. Really good decision making there, but a lot of it came down to Jaina flanking the backline and Asunder coming out on the backline, but they were not able to kill the front line at all. But it really hurt them in that team fight. Ultimates are going to be really long here on Team Rersurgence, whereas Team Nam almost has some of their ultimates already back up, Blessed Shield, and they obviously Wrath of the Berserker, giving them an opportunity to actually win this. They're also split very heavily right now. Great decision making by Sonya to commit there.
Yep, she's going to get stunned out as well, not being able to finish up the kill until the shot is caught out of position here, but again, the Mighty Gus coming out to save his team. Shot, I don't think he's getting out of there.
No. I don't think he is as well either. A lot of that comes down to very much the decision-making to re-engage and also the split. Did you notice the minute that 2 people committed to the shrine on Rersurgence, Team Nam instantly went on the back 3 that were isolated, leaving them in a situation where they had an advantage in that team fight. I really like that decision-making from them, knowing that their opponents can't really react to the situation.
Yeah, Kachi made an absolutely heads-up play there.
Yeah.
Saw an opening, realized there was 2 in the shrine, and said, "There's a false set. I'm gonna go for it." And as I said before this game started, the Sonya play is really going to be the deciding factor, I think, in this game. And so far, I've been pretty impressed by it.
No, I agree. He's been very patient with his decision making. Even when he got split through Gus, he actually didn't end up falling in that situation. Being really heads up about what he can and can't do, what he can get away with, is exactly what he needs to have in order to have an advantage in these team fights. So I really like the play coming out from him. We do see Giants and Knights pushing in the top lane. Shrines will be spawning relatively soon. XP advantage is going to go in favor of Team Nom here by 3/4 of a level, roughly.
Yeah, almost half now.
Giants are going to be cleared out here, so that Rersurgence will actually have Giants pushing in their favor. But the race to 16's on, and right now Rersurgence is falling a little bit behind, but Rain are getting really aggressive in this rotation. Keep in mind, right now this is going to be a 4 vs 5 if Murden wins in this rotation. He is a little bit late here. Oh, the Sunder. Great Maw.
Gonna catch 2 shots, actually going to ice block to dodge that, but that was a bit of a misplay. Skull Kid taking lots of damage with the Gust just to disengage. Kachi's in the back line, and Dayu taking a lot of damage. I think he's actually going to go down. No, he's popping D-Shield himself. He's going to survive. But now Kachi does not have that D-Shield. He's taking quite a bit of damage. Going to make it out, though. Red Panda Love right-clicking to victory in the back line. But so far, there's no kills. These have been such interesting team fights.
No, they have been, and honestly, that whole team fight was Uther getting cut out was the only reason that didn't go in favor of Team Nom. If he actually saved his Divine Shield, he would have had it for Sonya, who went in very aggressively, but then got rooted and was just standing there with not much to do in the team fight. After that point, she didn't have the solo survivability to get away with it, and a lot of that came down to just Uther barely getting out of position, and the Gus beat with great isolation and attempted disengage there. Again, another team fight where everybody blows the load and really nothing comes out of the team fight. That's
It's a technical term.
Yeah, no, it's a technical term. It's interesting to see. That's the second time we've seen everybody commit to a team fight and nothing happen here. Shrines are actually spawning separated. We have top and bottom being the spawn points here. Bottom likely being a contention point mainly because of the boss, but it does look like Team Nom doesn't care. Both times the boss has been in threat with the bottom shrine spawning, and no team has actually even considered about that being a counterplay. That's I find that interesting for the most part.
I don't know if we're going to see that continuing. I feel like now posturing for this boss is going to be an absolutely big deal. I feel like if Nom commits too hard on the top, that Rersurgence will absolutely take any advantage they can get here. Now that they're both, well, they're going to be 16 in a second, and try and contest this boss. Sonya's still up in the top line. If Falstad can push her off, he has a way to get down. If they can engage 4v5 and Falstad fly in, Rersurgence will be at a big advantage going to this next fight.
Exactly. I think that's what they're looking to do while waiting for that 16, but Falstad has not flown at all. Sunder coming out, getting a big split. Jaina with a beautiful setup into Jaina's Blizzard there. A huge Maw. Keep in mind, Trank's running. This is actually not going to do anything. That disengage was a little bit too late here. Sonya is still committed to top, so nothing's really going to happen here other than maybe another pick. Nice stun hitting there. Oh, man. Minion's barely wearing that stun. D-Shield coming out.
I think Daehoon might, but no, the great peel coming in from Drahana, but now he's still going to go down.
No, yeah, and that was awesome. Really great pick early in the team fight. That Sunder right into Jaina's positioning there was absolutely crucial to winning that team fight. Ending up getting 2 picks here in the remainder of bottom shrine. But keep in mind, structurally speaking, bottom is almost dead even here. Mid on the blue team, all of them have their front walls for their keeps up here. Oh, this little skirmish going on. Oh, they're actually going to attempt the boss here with 2 men down and 1 person on the shrine. They're having a lot of confidence in having Mighty Gus here. This is absurdly risky play. Especially,
they can do it here.
They might be able to. Murden getting stunned. Avatar already being popped. They are making a really bold statement without having that many ultimate ups. They need the boss to actually die so that he can gust into it. Sonya getting picked off. That was really big in terms of this boss here. They are going to end up capping it for free. There's the gust. I don't know if I think that was a smart play. It seems a little too high risk, low reward, but they are going to get away with it here for Rersurgence.
Yeah, that was definitely a ballsy play. I mean, they knew they had an advantage going into that. They knew they had gust. They were a little low in the health pools going into that. Avatar had to be popped in order to make sure the Murden didn't go down. But I think that was them just feeling confident coming out of that last fight.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the confidence kind of was almost overwhelming at that point. I very much was afraid for their lives there, especially when Murden popped Avatar just to tank. But they do end up getting away with it, having Mighty Gus as a zoning tool is really setting them apart when it does come to boss contention. Double Giants being taken here on the lower half of the map. Team Nom's actually going to have to respond to these. Knights being taken on top. The map is now being painted red in favor of Resurgence. This is going to help them out not only for XP here, but also vision for the next shrines. Being able to take advantage of poor rotations out of their opponent is what they're looking to do here. Falstad getting really aggro on this push up here, knowing that there's 2 people on bottom, but nobody is looking. There we go, with the invasion on the Knights there. Smart play there. Double Knights. This is going to be a front wall on top here in favor of Resurgence. That's a minimum of what they're going to get. If they do get a couple of picks, this will be a keep.
Absolutely. And heads up play for Kachi to back up there, though. I think if his team had helped him out into taking that camp, they actually could have secured it before Resurgence came in there. But overall, heads up play to not get caught there. Good map awareness, knowing that they were coming in. And this is a pretty indomitable push coming out here from Resurgence. If they don't take the keep here, I would be very surprised. I'm really looking for the roots coming out from Wrath.
Honestly,
hopefully be the deciding factor here.
With Johanna and Zagar on their team, they're only going to get a front wall if they don't get any picks there. They definitely needed to get a hard engaged pick to get away with anything.
I think the XP is too close. I think they needed to try and make something happen there. But
Maybe. I don't know. I think the safe play is the smart play here. Honestly, waiting out the race to 20, getting away with it. Waiting it out, get 20, don't risk any team fight that you don't have a tier advantage is all they need to do here. Structurally, both teams are dead even. If anybody has an advantage, it's actually Resurgence, so they know that they have the lead. They don't need to risk anything here. Shot with beautiful positioning, being very aggressive here. They do end up missing the stun on Wrath there, sadly. Maw coming out, and there you go. Now they know that they can force the Shrine with all the ease in the world. They needed that ultimate to stand a chance for this team fight. Unless somebody's massively out of position, this is probably going to go in favor of Resurgence here. Also, they are winning the race to 20. They're going to get this keep, and it will almost get them 20. Beautiful Gus there, isolating into the team. The Sunder to split them up. There is no mod to disengage from this team fight. Tranquility coming out. No Ice Block, actually, from Rixie here. It does come out a little bit late, but Killick needs the heals.
Rixie's actually going to drop. Killick being chased down in the backline. The double tank doing work is finally going to go down. Red Panda Love is running the backline. Skull Kid is going to chase him down. Dayun's going to go down as well here.
Yeah, and that team fight does end up going, 4 for 3 here, with Uther going to be able to respond here. The Shrine will still go in favor of Resurgence, and honestly, that fight was closer than I thought it was going to be, considering that they already had Maw down on their opponents. I feel like positional mistakes were made a little bit there, and also Sonya making really smart engagements onto the Falstad. But they are going to get the rest of the Shrine, which will lead to a keep, because they took that doubled Night Camp in order to get that front wall there. So a keep will be going down in their favor. They have 20 advantage here. It's honestly their game to lose at this point. With this big of a structural advantage, it's going to have to be a pretty big misplay on Resurgence in order for Team Nom to come back.
Yeah, no, that engage was absolutely perfect. Skull Kid came out with a monstrous Thunder into a 3-man Blizzard. That was a very heads-up play. Skull Kid is a fantastic Brawl player. The first few Sunders this game didn't quite hit the mark, but that last one is showing he's absolutely a monster on that hero. And I gotta admit though, the Sonya play coming out of that and he still killed the Malfurion and almost took down the Falstad. I am super impressed by the Sonya play coming out from a bad advantage and trying to make the best of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nom is they're about to hit 20 there. If something can happen, they need, obviously they're not Heroes 5, but Sonya's trying to soak from 20 in the top lane. But I think maybe there's still a chance for them to make something happen. They think they kind of have to hope for a party bush, and as you said, hope that Resurgence makes a mistake here.
Honestly, they can win team fights, and the Sonya is playing the team fights properly enough that they can get away with it. They definitely can win team fights. The most crucial thing here is that Zagar's Maws really hit the mark. I think they need to concentrate on making sure they hit Malfurion. Keep in mind, if Malfurion does Ice Block before the Maw hits, he actually will not fall into the Maw. It will push him out. And so he does have counterplay to this Maw, but if she ends up hitting a good Maw onto Malfurion with Gust down, keep in mind, Gust must be down at that point. They do have an opportunity to come back in these team fights, but honestly, if they don't end up with a D shield on Sonya so she can do her thing against the backline and her walking away with a kill, I don't know if they're going to be able to win any of these team fights. Also, they have super minions or catapults pushing in the top lane against them, which is going to force bad rotations out of them, possibly here in the late game.
Yeah, they're going to be spending the time they didn't want to spend playing catch up here. That top lane, especially now with the Night Camp pushing in. They're going to have to go deal with that at some point. And now, Resurgence is posturing for this boss. I think they're trying to bait it.
Yeah.
We're going to see what they do here. But so far, Johanna's getting caught out there. She will have Unstoppable. Going to be popped. Iron Skin just going to force them back. They know they're there now. So But this is actually, I think, going to play out in favor of Resurgence, especially now that these temples spawn, because this top lane is just going to keep pushing during this. The longer they can keep Nom from defending that, the better off they're going to be.
And the front wall is going to lead to where I think the keep actually is barely going to survive if they complete all of these shots. So they may possibly be 2 keeps down if they do lose this. They realize this with an initiation. They already burnt Blessed Shield and nothing was to happen from it. They very much need all of their ultimates to be successful in team fights here. Keep in mind, oh, beautiful Sunder there. Zagara completely split. She ends up blinking out and D-Shield. They were stacked together. Panda Love being out of position a little bit there. The Maw does hit, but I think it's a little bit too late with one person already down. Skull Kid is actually running for his life here from Kachi. His team giving him support here as they should be. Daihu with great peel here. Gus coming out to isolate the Uther, not be able to keep anybody alive. Great decision making there, and this is actually going to be possibly GG here, depending on how many picks. Beautiful blink from Shot there to confirm a kill. That's going to be a 5-man wipe, and this is going to GG here in favor of Resurgence. That was very, very well played there at the end. Honestly, a lot of it didn't even feel like Resurgence made such big plays that they won team fights. It very much felt like Team Nom just wasn't on the same page. There was a very few situations where they had all of their ultimates up and were able to compete with their opponents on what I like to call like just an even playing field. It very much was like, all right, well, we just burnt one ult, so what are we going to do? There was a Maw, there was a Blessed Shield. It just never felt like they were coming out at the exact same time. And to be fair, that does come from pressure with having a Mighty Gust on your opponent's side as well. It's very hard to know when is the correct time to engage, when if you blow out your load completely, the technical term, and get away with it, the technical term. If you end up committing fully to the team fight and then a Gust comes out, you are set very, very far behind in team fights. So it is a difficult comp to play into. Like I said, I felt like Resurgence had the better comp, but also at the same time, I just wish I had seen them commit as a group more, even if it didn't work out, you know?
Absolutely. And they had a lot of big playmaking ultimates to use. You've got Sunder, you've got Gust, and these are things that can work very well together or can absolutely counter synergy. And I feel like they mostly did a pretty good job using them. I really like Killick's decision-making with the Gusts, especially that last one. The little plays, like gusting out Uther so he couldn't heal on the chase. Little stuff like that. Just very heads-up plays, very proactive plays. Just saying, you know, at that point, you might as well use the ability, and using it in such a great way as to secure and get further ahead. And knowing that, again, the gutsy play on boss because they could do it, because they know we've got a fail-safe. And that's kind of the power of Falstad right now. It was definitely interesting to see how some of the heroes touched by the changes here were played in this game. Malfurion felt strong to me, like he felt good, and normally as a Malfurion you kind of want to play a little bit cautiously around Zagara because he can waste half your trank, you know, with that Maw. So, but knowing that, you know, you've now got more power on your Q, you know, they did take a little bit out of trank, but knowing that you still got that healing as well, I think made it a little more secure for him. And Raynor felt good this game, but didn't feel overwhelming to me. There wasn't a moment where I thought that, you know, Raynor was absolutely destroying, and I think they did a very good job, Jaina particularly, of kind of keeping him from doing that, of definitely much asserting pressure on him. But overall, there were so many moments that could have gone. It was so close in so many, you know, ways that things could have gone a different way. You know, one person slightly out of position, and the fight could have been even. You know, if that Uther hadn't got, you know, been a little bit forward and had to blow D-Shield on himself in that bottom fight, I feel like, and they'd been able to turn that a little more effectively, Nom could have run away with this. It was a very good game overall. I think that Resurgence definitely showed, you know, that these players have a lot of experience and their decision making was very strong. But overall, it was a good game.
Yeah, and I think a lot of those team fights ended up playing the way that they did when everybody fully tried to commit to a team fight, but then they didn't end up really making that much happen. If you actually look at the compositions head-to-head right now, there's Zagara and Raynor sitting against a Sunder. We have Thrall, Falstad, Jaina, Murden. If you ever want to start a team fight with that composition from Resurgence, you just press Sunder, you leap in, you stun, you slow, you possibly get a root. You might even be able to dash past them with your passive and gust them into your team using the mobility on Falstad. There's so many ways to say we want this fight and we're going to force it. And when you look at what Team Nom's composition is overall, unless somebody's very, very out of position, all they have is really a Blessed Shield or a Maw, which again is dependent on your team making the big mistakes here. And I feel like having Zagara and Raynor together, they're just sitting back auto-attacking the front line. Usually both of them are great heroes, but I feel like together with how little catch they actually have in their comp, adding Falstad to Resurgence's composition says we're going to choose the team fights, and if you decide to take one and we don't like it, one Gust is all it takes and you have no way to start the next one. And that very much is why I feel like even though that game was very close. It started to snowball in favor of Rersurgence, not only from beautiful Sunders once Skull Kid started being a little bit more patient with them. He ended up making huge plays synergizing with Jaina, but also when you just look at it, how is Team Nam going to take a fight that they actually want unless somebody really makes a big mistake here? So, but like you said, there was moments where, like, for instance, the D-Shield bottom fight, it could have gone either way. It was a very close game. Honestly, impressive from both teams. I think definitely Skull Kid wins the MVP award of that game. Well, once he started calming down a little bit and not just getting trigger happy with that Sunder, he actually made some very, very big plays with those Sunders. So, and like you said, Killick with that false head, he very much used the tool effectively, which is something that we've seen struggling from players in this tournament. But that's going to be it for game number 1. We're going to end up going to round 2, which I don't know if we have the information for who's going to end up playing against Rersurgence here. I don't think the bracket
Rersurgence is going to be the winner of Blank and King of Blades Omega.
Oh, this is going to be a good second match. I'm actually really excited for this one. This is actually, in my opinion, going to be, other than maybe Gale Force, if they make it all the way through in the finals versus whoever makes it out of this lower half of the bracket, this is going to be the best or second best match of this tournament, in my opinion. I'm going to be very, very, very excited for this one. So stay tuned with us here, ladies and gentlemen, and we will be back with Rersurgence versus the victor of Kings of Blade and Blank. Thank you for tuning in, and see you guys soon.